H&M has grown into one of the biggest names in fashion, with around 5,000 stores worldwide. Chances are, many of you watching this have shopped at one of their stores before. After all, they're the second largest clothing retailer globally, just behind Inditex, the Spanish company that owns Zara. H&M is also European, with their headquarters based in Sweden. They report sales of about 200 billion Swedish krona each year, making them one of the biggest companies in the world. This major retail chain has used some clever and at times controversial methods to grow to this size. In this video, we'll dive into the unlikely history of H&M and explore what I believe are the 6 biggest reasons behind their success. Let's get started with The Person family has been at the heart of H&M since day one, owning and running the company throughout its entire journey. It all started with Erling Persson, who kicked things off back in the 1940s. After World War II, Erling took a trip to the United States and was blown away by these big, bustling stores that seemed to be thriving. Inspired by what he saw, he decided to bring the concept back home to Sweden and opened his own store the following year. He called it Hennes, which means hers in Swedish, because it was all about women's clothing at first. For about 20 years it stayed that way, until a game-changing acquisition came along. Erling wanted to expand, so he bought an outdoor store called Moritz, which sold gear for fishing and hunting. He shut down most of the outdoor stuff but kept the men's sportswear, which was a smart move. This not only broadened their customer base, turning them into a family clothing store, but also led to a name change. And that's how Hennes and Moritz, or H&M, was born. By the way, sorry if my Swedish pronunciation isn't perfect. I'm definitely not a native speaker. By 1982, H&M had dozens of stores across Europe. Erling stepped down after 35 years, handing the reins to his son, Stefan Persson. Stefan ran the company for many years, refining their logistics and business strategy. He still owns about 36% of H&M, making him Sweden's richest man. Stefan's son, Carl Johan, also took a turn as CEO, leading the company for over a decade until 2020. So, the Persson family has been a driving force behind H&M, shaping it into the global brand we know today. Next up, we'll talk about how H&M has nailed geographic expansion, growing steadily and effectively. Many companies struggle with too much debt or by overextending themselves, but H&M has managed to keep a steady pace, allowing them to maintain quality control over their clothing and store operations. They are the second biggest in their industry, but remember, they've been at it for 75 years. For the first 17 years, they were entirely in Sweden. It took another 12 years before they ventured outside of Scandinavia. And then, it was 24 more years before they opened a store in the United States. In 1974, as they were making their debut on the stock market, they shortened their name to H&M. I think they did this to make it simpler and easier to pronounce in non-Swedish speaking countries. Today, H&M is a global giant with around 5,000 stores in 77 markets worldwide. And they aren't overly reliant on any single market. Their 2 biggest markets, Germany and the United States, each account for only about 14% of their total sales. This shows that H&M has been smart about expanding into new areas. Up next, we'll dive into the biggest and most controversial reason behind their success. Fast fashion. Let's dive in. It's a popular business model in the clothing industry that I've mentioned before. In a nutshell, it's all about lower quality, low prices, and high turnover. So H&M designs their own clothing and gets it made quickly by affordable suppliers in foreign, often developing countries. It's a high-volume, low-margin game. They sell cheaper clothes at low prices, but they sell a ton of it. The whole system ensures they have a revolving selection of trendy clothes, potentially daily, so there's always something new to discover. Other stores like Zara or Forever 21 do something similar, but H&M was one of the pioneers. They've been at it for a long time and are actually considered a pioneer of fast fashion. Given they've been using this effective model for decades, it's a huge reason behind their success. But there's a downside. These clothes aren't the most durable. They're typically worn a few times and then tossed, which can negatively impact the environment when it happens 3 billion times a year. Fast fashion has faced criticism and protests for these reasons, and H&M is one of the biggest offenders. But they've made efforts to reduce their negative impact, like recycling. They even established the H&M Foundation in 2014, It was initially funded with $180 million from the personal accounts of the founding family, aiming to tackle these issues and achieve net zero emissions by 2040. Now, 2040 is still a long way off. So, whether they're doing enough or if it's truly effective, I can't say. It's been debated. I recommend you do your own research and draw your own conclusions. All I'm saying is that whether you approve of it or not, H&M is a multi-billion-dollar company built around the clever yet potentially harmful concept of fast fashion. Another reason behind H&M's success? The internet. Even though they're primarily a traditional retail store, they've effectively adopted e-commerce to boost their sales. Interestingly, back in 1980, well before online shopping, they made a big move into mail orders. They bought a Swedish mail order company that quickly became a significant part of their business. So, H&M jumped onto the internet bandwagon pretty early back in 1998. And guess what? Now, online sales make up about a third of their business. In 2021, a whopping 32% of their $20 billion in sales came from online shoppers. Out of the 77 markets worldwide with physical stores, 57 of them also have an online presence. H&M also owns several smaller brands you might or might not recognize depending on where you shop or where you live. Two of these brands are exclusively online platforms. One is called Found, which started in 2018, and the other is Sellpy, mostly acquired in 2019. In 2020, likely due to the pandemic, they announced plans to close about 5% of their stores to better focus on their digital offerings. They're really working on integrating their physical stores with their online presence. You can pick up your online purchases in store or scan an item in store to find it online if they don't have your size or color. It's all about making the shopping experience seamless. Another big reason for H&M's success? Celebrity endorsements. They've been using famous faces to attract customers for a long time, starting way back in the 1970s. When they first started selling cosmetics, they launched a campaign featuring a key celebrity to promote it. So, back in the 90s, H&M decided to switch things up. They moved away from those old-school newspaper ads and went big, literally, with giant billboards in major European cities. And guess who was on those billboards? Some of the top supermodels of the time. We're talking Cindy Crawford, Naomi Campbell, Claudia Schiffer, big names that definitely grabbed attention. Fast forward to more recent times and you'll see endorsements from stars like Lana Del Rey, Beyoncé, and Katy Perry. And hey, even Pete Davidson had his own campaign in 2022. Quite the variety, right? The first big collaboration was in 2004 with the famous German designer Karl Lagerfeld, and guess what? The entire collection sold out almost instantly. Talk about a hit. H&M didn't stop there. They teamed up with other big names like Stella McCartney, Versace, and even celebrities like Madonna and David Beckham. These collaborations have really helped to legitimize the H&M brand. So, there you have it. These are some of the biggest reasons behind H&M's growth and success. What do you think about H&M? Do they have a good selection, reasonable prices, decent quality? How do they stack up against other fast fashion retailers? Or maybe you steer clear of fast fashion altogether. There's a lot to think about when it comes to this store. Thanks for watching. So there you have it. Those are some of the key reasons behind H&M's growth and success. What do you think about H&M? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you like their selection? Are the prices fair? How's the quality? How do they stack up against other fast fashion brands? Or maybe you steer clear of fast fashion altogether. There's a lot to think about when it comes to this store. Thanks for watching.